Hello everybody, it's me Rosalie. Welcome back to the ultimate world music reaction channel, exploring music and psychology from all around the world. We're all about real talk and real reactions here, and I am so excited about today's video. You have been waiting for it for months. I have been waiting to do this video for months. I have been working my way through the list, exploring Nightwish songs. You can find more exclusive content on patreon.com and on buymeacoffee.com, but I've been working my way through songs by Nightwish, and I am excited about this big one. I want to react to The Poet and the Pendulum. Now you let me know. I need to make sure to do my homework so that I really understand what's going on here. And I did. There's so much we've got to talk about today. The main idea from what I gather, without going into too much detail yet, is that this is going to be a song that really deals with heartbreak, loss, the heavy things. And I think many of us can relate to that topic in general. I know I can relate to loss because I had recorded this video for you. I was so excited to share this project with you. Hadn't edited it yet, and I lost it. And yes, I cried. When you are a content creator or you produce anything, be it a service or a product, and you lose files or you lose the product or you lose something that's significant to your business, it is devastating. So we're talking about a song that deals with loss. I lost files, but you know what? One thing that will never get lost again is my husband's wallet. Extra wallets are the coolest, smartest wallets I have ever seen. My husband loved his Christmas gift this year. These products came in the most beautiful packaging. They have so many different products. They're amazing key case, beautiful material, super smart and compact. They have this amazing collection of beautiful wallets, all kinds of different designs. From their aluminum collection to their carbon fiber collection, beautiful Parliament classic or Parliament recycled designs. The list goes on and on. But one of the things I love most about these wallets is that they are super slim and smart, the easiest and quickest card access that I've ever seen, and the most high-end environmental friendly materials too. Now check this out, you guys. This blew my mind. Not only are these wallets super classy, check this out. Isn't this the coolest thing? When I opened the package and I was exploring this product, I was mind blown. Easy access, all your cards in one spot, and here's the kicker. You don't ever have to lose your wallet again. Extra wallets can come with a tracker. The most sleek, brilliant system. You've got to get yourself one. And the good news is you can get up to 40% off your extra wallets for this New Year's sale. So check out the links in the description and the comments below and use promo code Rosalie. I listened to an interview with Tuomas Holopainen. He shared some really cool things on face culture interviews. What I learned so far, and I got my notes here, old school, is that Nightwish, the band, that project, was not a dream come true for him in the sense that he always wanted to have this symphonic metal band. He actually wanted to be a scientist, a biologist, and into natural sciences. And somehow the band came about, and he's expressed being surprised how the songs and the albums have survived all this time and are still cherished by so many. He loves combining visuals with audio. He loves music being grandiose and epic, and I think we can all agree that that mission has been accomplished with the way that he composes and the whole music production that they have in their music videos and in their concerts. He expressed that the album Dark Passion Play, which is the album that The Poet and Pendulum was on, that was his darkest album. And it was really reflecting on dealing with the issues of 2005, which from what I understand is when Tarja Turunen and Nightwish parted ways. And in that song, The Poet and Pendulum, without giving you guys too much for those of you who don't know it yet, it's his way, he said in the interview, of killing himself without having to do it in real life. And that, I think, already gives you an idea of how heavy and how much loss and grief we're talking in this song. Now, he expressed in that interview he is not that person anymore, and that even now, if he has to play the song, it causes a certain turmoil because it is so personal. When Floor Jansen came along, he expressed the band got bigger than ever and Nightwish has just taken off. But I know that many of you have various opinions about the matter when it comes to the whole Nightwish journey. There have been three different lead vocalists. We had Tarja Turunen, we had Anette Olsen, now we have Floor Jansen. Many of you love and adore Floor. Many of you are diehard Tarja Turunen fan, and depending on who comments, I can really see that opinions vary. Some people say, you know what, Tuomas was pitying himself, you know, they did wrong by Tarja, she was actually fired. Others are saying, oh my goodness, she got arrogant and she, you know, was too good for the band and, you know, you stick to Tuomas and Nightwish. I wasn't there. And I think when it comes to heavy content where a lot of emotions are involved, it's easy to take a side depending on our experiences, our feelings. And now granted, you might know a lot more, and that's why you may have taken one or the other side. But I wasn't there. And so I'm pulling information from various places, regardless of what exactly happened, if she left or was fired, if it was all her wrongdoing or theirs, whatever the details. Being a singer-songwriter, being someone who performs with bands, there is a certain familiarity depending on how often you play with a band. You become, you know, like a family, like buddies. And it depends on the person, right? Some people are more involved, especially when it comes to lead singers and those who don't have to bring a bunch of gear. Some people just kind of show up, you know, and then they leave. Other people are very invested. For me, for example, when I could, I tried to make an effort to either help with setup or breakdown or stay until the end and not just show up like some diva going, hey, here I am. And that created a type of community. The band members appreciated that. And everybody's different, right? Some people, due to personal reasons, can't just stay and come early and stay till the end. There are many nuances involved when it comes to people's personal life, the way that they interact with a band when they're on tour. When it comes to musicians' life, you have different personalities, which that goes for every human being, right? And when you have people with different personalities coming together, there will be conflict. One of the things that Tuomas said in his interview that I thought was awesome is that he's giving kudos to you guys, to his fans, for sticking around all these years. And I think that's something to be said for the band, that singers, you know, have come and gone and they have shaped Nightwish and they mean something to you, regardless of where you stand on the whole Nightwish journey and the change in lead singers. The band is special to many people. The various artists are special. Everyone may have their favorite or two. And I think, yeah, at the end of the day, we're all humans. Like Tuomas himself said, we're not the same people that we were back then. And there are many aspects that go into these things. But this song is heavy and it does deal with that heartache, that heartbreak and the struggle. And yeah, it's Tuomas's way of processing that. So regardless if you agree with him or not, regardless if you are, you know, more leaning towards Tarja was done wrong, you know, or you're all about the Nightwish side or Tuomas' side, keep in mind that I think we all can relate to the song in general when it comes to loss, when it comes to heartbreak. So I'm excited to check this out. So let's dive in. Are you ready? Here we go. Are you ready? It's going to get emotional. And yeah, here we go. This part is called White Lands of Empathic. Guys, That introduction was already fire. That high-pitched singing almost sounded like a little boy or girl singing. Very eerie, the blue lights, and it being titled The White Lands of Empathica, someone dead, right? The songwriter's dead. So we're talking death, we're talking fading into the light, right? Very somber, angelic, right? The way you would maybe imagine as you're passing. And now the drums come in. And at first glance or listen, especially the young kids in the crowd, I feel like there's this feeling of, yeah, rock, a chance to windmill and headbang. And that's cool, right? But I feel like anyone, and many of you I think are like this, you dive deeper into the music, into the psychology. And if you know what the song is about or what the lyrics mean, and we'll talk about that later, that adds to the build-up even more. It's not just a dope drum solo and everybody's going crazy. This really fits this idea of what we're going to talk about here lyrically. So just keep that in mind. Try to consider the music along with the lyrics and along with the emotions. It's intentional and it's powerful. Let's keep going. Let me go back just a bit with the crazy kid in the crowd. And the pendulum swinging back and forth. To stop. There's so many things I feel like I'm going to forget, and I'll go back, I promise. Can we talk about how just vocally there's so many dynamics to Flora's voice? How she starts just, fairly straightforward, nothing crazy, which is fitting, even to the lyrics, and then singing about that last verse, almost like this idea of, because we talked about the end and the beginning of the song. We're talking about the songwriter being dead and knowing that this was Tuomas's way of processing his depression and his suicidal thoughts. Now talking about death in the beginning and talking about ending on a perfect verse, to me that implies you're trying to go out with a bang, basically. This is the end. I don't know. And then the way that her voice just had that rasp, that growl, right? We're going straight forward, we're building, and now she builds up with that rasp on the words, take me home. Again, think death, think depression, think I'm done with life, I'm overwhelmed. Dude, and just the way that they're playing that guitar and how fast he's playing on that keyboard. Goodness. What's continually fascinating to me, being new to the world of metal, is that metal can be married with symphonies and orchestras like that. I mean, it's so symphonic. It has that Pirates of the Caribbean vibe. It really has that orchestral element that we know to be characteristic for Nightwish. But then you bring in that heavy metal and it's this cool, just dope. Let's go back a bit. I mean, come on.
Still the same old song. Christ, how I hate what I have become. Take me home. Get away, run away, fly away, lead me astray. To dream outside away, I can't cry just to shoulder. Rise more, I can't die at a heart full of cold world. Forgive me. Faces, one for the world, and one for God save me. I cannot cry, cause the shoulder rise more. I cannot die, I am heart for the cold world.
Hey, there goes the windmilling, and she's doing it right. Hand on her thighs.
My home is there and there, those medals of it.
Sorry guys, it's so funny to see Empu here just hands on his waist talking to Tuomas like, what's up? I don't know what they're talking about, but it's funny to me because Tuomas looks back at the audience like, okay, I don't know, what are you doing? we're not talking right now. I don't know. I just imagine what they're conversing about. So casual. And Flora, just this, oh, I know you guys call her your Valkyrie, but so strong. I'm continuously just amazed and so amazed at how fierce he is and how strong, beautiful. And even the lyrics, guys, just, I think it's, as I'm exploring these lyrics, it makes a lot of sense. But it's such a poetic way of dealing with the depression, dealing with this desire to end on a perfect verse, to go home, to be done with life, being all cried out. I cannot cry because the shoulder cries no more. I cannot die a whore for the cold world. That's kind of profound, but we'll talk about those lyrics later. Sheesh.
And what we got, save me. I cannot cry 'cause the shoulder cries more. I cannot die, a heart for the cold world. My home was there and there, those meadows of heaven, adventure-filled days, one with every smiling face. These no more words, thoughts from a severed hand. No more praise, tell me once my heart goes right. And take me home. Get away, run away, fly away, leave me astray. To dream outside away, I cannot cry 'cause the shoulder cries more. I cannot die, I hope for the cold world. From green, the other two faces, one for the world. But for God's save me, I cannot cry 'cause the shoulder cries more. I cannot die, I hope for the cold world. Heart for the cold world, heart for the cold world.
Wow. The waves, the water in the background. These musical scores are phenomenal. The way that it shifts mid-song, but it's all part of it. It's not a different song. It all works. It all flows. Ha! Literally. Get it? See what I did there? Guys, I'm like I said, man, these progressions just a musical score. It's phenomenal. But that shift from the musical composition and the keys and the way they're carrying this whole track, the way that it goes along with the emotion, and we'll talk about that in more detail in a second, but it's very fitting. Just keep that in mind. For those of you who know this track and already know a lot of what's going on here and you know what it means, and you have you have dove into the lyrics in more depth, you'll understand. But for those of you who might just be watching it because you're trying something new, welcome. But keep in mind, there is a purpose to the musical arrangements that go with the lyrics, that go with the emotion, and the emotional progression. Our emotions are not linear, right? I mean, they're very fluid and up and down. That's why they can't always be trusted as truth. And there's just so much going on here, processing heavy emotions through music. And yeah, but just the composition, and even Flora's voice, so rich and full, but the way that she's going along with the different parts of this composition, from the rasp to the straightforward and clean cut, to the raspy lower notes, to now the operatic high, back to just straightforward alto tones. I mean, beautiful. Okay. That was, we went from home to the Pacific where the water came in, which is where we're now. Pacific.
I'm afraid, so afraid, being raped again and again and again. I know I will die alone, but loved. You live long enough to hear the sound of guns, long enough to find yourself screaming every night, long enough to see your friends betray you. For years, I've been strapped onto this altar. Now I only have 3 minutes, counting. I just wish the tide would catch me first and give me a death I always longed for.
Before we go into this part, this is the dark passion play part of The Poet and Pendulum. That was really dark and eerie. Their setup, their stage production is phenomenal and so fitting. And again, I could see many people that maybe don't know the depth and the full extent of these lyrics be like, wow, this is so cool and catchy and rock and headbanging. But this is very profound, and it's interesting to be able to compose a work like this that really deals with your own personal emotions, that's relatable to people and their deep, dark struggles, but still be entertaining. Wow. The whole composition, but that was very eerie. This thoughts of betrayal. I think that is, that tie to feeling betrayed when Tarja and Nightwish parted ways, and this sadness, this grief. Again, I don't want to go too much into details right now because my focus is the music, but we'll talk about that next. Dark passion play. It's already getting darker musically. Dude, Marco, that's I believe who's singing right now. That rasp, that total metal voice here right now, though he can do way more with his voice. Very dark here, that metal, the heavy, because we're really talking death here, the darkest, lowest part of depression and of dealing with death. Jeez, I mean, we'll talk about what all that means, but dude, that growl, really fitting and eerie. Oh, goodness.
Second rubber to the right of Christ, cut in half and decide. While we're adjacent, death past the crowd, it's not the run of power. Everyone must bury their own. The pick the berry, the heart of stone. Now he's in hell, serves him well. Sorry for the bell, calling for his farewell.
Guys, can we talk about the fact how he's just running the bass, right? Let me go back a bit. How he's like yelling, screaming. I mean, not yelling, that's the wrong word. Like just screaming, growling, and then like running up and down that bass. Oh my word. I mean, you've got to be able to coordinate to do that. The perfect voice and then the skill Oh my goodness. And then all the while singing some deep lyrics. Now, for those who are not really into metal or like, I'm gonna try something different, and this was me in the beginning. At first glance, hear, see, whatever, it feels very much like, oh, dark, and oh, what are they talking about here? But when you think about the fact that this is dealing with some of the deepest, most painful, hard emotions of human beings, those of you who've been there can relate, and those of you who dare empathize with it will understand that it's not pretty. When we're talking death, when we're talking depression, it's not pretty. Now, there is hope, and ideally we come through it on the other side. But when people get to that conclusion that that's the only way out, that's grievous and sad and tragic, and there is no pretty way, right, to paint that. Death is, especially when it comes to suicide, is very painful for those left behind, and painful for those who think that that's the only option. So, you know, for those who are like, this is kind of dark and heavy, keep that in mind. But, geez, that skill. Okay, let's go back.
I can run to the right of Christ, cutting her fantasy. While we're adjacent to death, that's the crowd. It's not the running power.
I have so many thoughts.
Everyone must bury their own. The paint the berry, the heart of stone. Now he's in hell, searching wealth. Straight by the bell, calling for his farewell. The morning dawned upon his altar. The means of the dark passion play, performed by his friends without shame. Spinning on his grave as they came. Get away, run away, fly away, lead me astray. To dreamers, hide away. I cannot cry, cause the shoulder cries for I cannot die. I am hard for the cold girl. Forgive me, I have but two faces, one for the world, and one for God. Save me, I cannot cry, cause the shoulder cries for I cannot die. I am hard for the cold world, hard for the cold world, hard for the cold.
Today, in the year of our Lord 2005, two of us was called from the cares of the world. He stopped crying at the end of each beautiful day. The music he wrote had too long been without silence. He was found naked and dead, with a smile on his face, a pen, and 1,000 pages of erased text.
We ain't even done yet, but I gotta stop here for a second. Notice the pendulum. There were parts, I think it was, for example, during the part called Home or the Pacific, I think, where the pendulum was swinging slower, and it was fitting to the operatic vocals, it was fitting to the whole composition. And now, as that heavy rock came in and that climax of this death experience, it's swinging really fast, which to me implies running out of time, getting really close to that final moment. I would say that also kind of goes along with the lyrics. So many, these lyrics are so profound. It's almost going to take too long to talk about all of them, so I might have to touch on a couple of main points. But, and then even what Thomas just did as he was playing keyboard, like the way that he just gestured, it almost looked like this concept of, that's it, done. Now this is what, a heartbeat? Oh, it stopped. Keyboard is beautiful here, and the flutes back to the water. It sounds more hopeful now, a little lighter. But still somber. is beautiful. Goosebumps like a siren. Comforting like a blanket versus the storm and drowning. The way the water's falling as the notes lower. Beautiful. Wow. Wow. Guys. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It all worked out. Losing those files and having to tackle this project again really worked out. Like I said, I don't have to deal with lost wallets anymore. Extra got me covered there. But dealing with lost files is rough, and it worked out for the best because getting to explore this is just such a treat. Guys, so many things, and I know I will miss things, so comment away right now. What did you think? Where are you watching from? What does this song mean to you? What am I gonna miss? Well, you don't know what I'm gonna miss yet because it hasn't happened yet, but this song is powerful. Now, yes, if we're looking at it superficially, we're talking beautiful, oh my goodness, where do I begin? Beautiful orchestra arrangements, symphonic metal. We're talking operatic voice. We're talking Flora's full vocals and the way she goes from lower notes to the rasp to the high notes to that angelic siren, beautiful vocalization. We're talking hardcore bass playing. We're talking dope riffs on the guitar and compositions on the keyboard. We're talking the emotion that Tuomas is portraying here as he's playing this. And we're talking those heavy metal moments where things are getting hard. All of that is powerful and fun. I mean, even Flora, windmilling and doing it right, because what I've learned from you is got to keep your hands on the thighs so you don't ruin your neck or back. That's all beautiful and powerful, okay? Then we're talking stage production, and I'm trying to summarize in bullet points here so I don't go completely off a tangent. We're talking stage production, the beautiful waves and the way that it would rise and fall, even fitting to the vocalization and the melody she was singing. We're talking the pendulum swinging slow and faster as it was as death was approaching. Lyrically, guys, I'm not going to read the entire lyrics because you can go look them up, and looking up some comments on what certain parts mean helped me too, because I'm still learning, right? But that was my way, but I want to make sure I did enough homework to do this justice, and I really hope you think so, and I didn't miss big things. But the fact that it begins with the words "the end" already showcases we're talking about something drastic here. We're talking about something very depressing. Whenever you begin with "the end," where do you go from there? The chanting in the beginning and that voice that sounded like a little boy or girl. Interesting because even in the song Dead Boy's Poem, we'll hear a little boy voice. Then the words, "The songwriter's dead, the blade fell upon him, taking him to the white lands of Empathica, of innocence." So to me, this implies death, right? Suicide has occurred or death has occurred. Going to the white lands of Empathica, that is very fairy tale, fantasy land language that we often find in Nightwish songs and in Tuomas's writing. But this idea of the innocence and the white lands and the dreamer vibe is fitting not only to his lyrics, but really this idea of innocence, which works well with later on in the text when it speaks of infanticide, which, the idea of the young, of the innocence being, that inner child being killed. And then it goes into the dreamer and the wine, poet without a rhyme, fitting to the title here. A widowed rider torn apart by chains of hell. To me, that really reflects on perhaps that separation, right? You're widowed from something, your beloved has died, you're torn apart by chains of hell. So separation has occurred, something that feels like death and like the end. Now, I know when it comes to this whole topic, Nightwish, like I said in the beginning, I wasn't there. You may feel like or truly have a lot of facts that you feel support why you've chosen the side you're on, if you've picked a side, if there is a side to pick. But I wasn't there, I don't know. And I know, again, that emotions are complicated. Human beings are complicated. And, there's always two sides to the story, and then there's the truth. And, it gets complicated because we look at the world through our worldview, our experiences, our culture, our history, so many factors. And we're all biased, to a degree. Even the observations that we try to have, as objective as we try to be, they're still influenced by the observer. So not having been there, right, I want to be as fair and neutral as possible. But I know I've even seen in comments in the past where I would react to a lot of where I would react to a lot of Nightwish songs with Floor in it, and I would be told, hey, I like Tarja Turunen's version better. She was the best. She was the golden era of Nightwish. You'll have those who say, forget her. I love Floor, right? I haven't even checked out Anita Olsen and that era yet. But everybody has an opinion. And then you have those who, in regards to the Poet and Pendulum, or that whole season of Nightwish, you have those who say, whatever, Thomas, he's just, whining, whatever, she was done wrong. And then you have those, of course, who are like, forget her, Nightwish, Floor, that's the new era. Whatever side you may be on, if any, I think it's important to keep in mind that this was a person hurting, okay? And in this case, Tuomas being the songwriter, he was hurting. Regardless if we agree with him or not, something went down. Now, I know there's theories out there, I don't know if that's true or not, that talk about him having a certain love or infatuation with Tarja, and then she ended up marrying, what's his face? Marcelo Cabuli. And supposedly that causing, some tension there. I don't know if that's true. You tell me below. But some people say, there was more than just, we lost a singer. This was also a love that Tuomas had here. I don't know. But this idea of a widowed writer, the poet without a rhyme, right? What are you? What type of poet are you if you are without rhyme? When you are a widowed writer, torn apart by chains of hell, very dramatic, very drastic. One last perfect verse, yet still the same old song. Interesting, right? To me, that implies this idea of ending, something coming to an end. You want to go out with a perfect verse, but it's the same old song. Maybe representing this idea, this notion of been here before, same thing again. Oh Christ, how I hate what I've become. Take me home. This cry for death, perhaps, for home, for shelter, for comfort. Get away, run away, fly away. That's the lyrics. Those are the chorus then. Lead me astray. And that beat was cool, by the way. The chorus, that melody in the chorus. Lead me astray to dreamer's hideaway. This idea of, I think, wanting to go back to a place of innocence and dreamland. Fitting, again, to what we find in the lyrics in various Nightwish songs. I cannot cry because the shoulder cries no more. To me, that implies this idea of I'm all cried out. I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without you. I cannot die, the whore for the cold word. When I first saw that, I'm like, that sounds interesting. I cannot die. What is that? Maybe like when you're wrestling with death, then it's like, take me home. I can't die. Or could this be implying the whore for the cold world? The idea, the concept of a whore being someone that's used, for money, sold, wasted, given away, abused by everyone. It's a cold world out there. Perhaps this idea of him or Nightwish having been used, taken advantage of, that could be a possibility. Forgive me, I have but two faces. And the way that Floor was engaging and singing as she was doing this, engaging with the audience, I found really cool and neat as well. One for the world, one for God, save me. That to me was interesting because when you're dealing with depression and anxiety, when you're hurting or frustrated or working through hard things, sometimes there are two faces. One that the world gets to see and one that only God can see. Oh, save me, right? This plea, this help me, I'm suffering. I cannot cry because the shoulder cries no more, and that tags again. My home was there and then. These meadows of heaven, adventure-filled days, one with every smiling face. So basically perhaps reflecting on the time where things were well, where there was adventure, there were meadows, right? Peace and joy and smiling faces. No, please, no more words, thoughts from a severed head. Interesting, almost like, the head's already been severed. Death has already come. It's already over. These are thoughts from a severed head. Almost like this paradox, because a severed head can't think. No more praise. Tell me once my heart goes right. Take me home. Sparkle my scenery with turquoise waterfall. And the way she was singing, that was beautiful. And that backdrop with the water. Beauty underneath, the ever free. Very dreamlike. This longing for maybe the peaceful, the blue, the beautiful, maybe like light my world up again, make it pretty again, take this darkness from me, right? Tuck me in beneath the blue, right? Maybe bury me under the sea, beneath the pain, beneath the rain, almost like being buried, right? When you're buried underground, you're under the rain. When you drown, you're underwater, so you're drowning in your depression, but when you die, you're also literally under the blue. Swaying blade, fitting to the pendulum, but also this idea of death coming, the knife coming. I'm afraid, so afraid. And this part is heavy, but we'll talk about what I think it could mean, being raped again and again and again. To me, that's fits with whore. It fits with the beginning that talks about, or is it later on, where it talks about being betrayed? You're being taken advantage of, something's happening against your will, and then saying, I know I will die alone but loved. Very interesting. Being aware of when you die, which is the case for all of us, even when we're surrounded by loved ones, that final step we take and across the door, we take alone. I want to believe we are in the presence of God, and God is with us in that moment. But when it comes to people, we're alone. There's this idea of you die alone, but you're loved. So, still aware perhaps that he is loved, but he is alone in this. You will live long enough to hear the sound of guns, long enough to find yourself screaming every night. Very heavy topic here. We're talking really dealing with, struggling with death, with despair. And as he said in the interview, killing himself in song so he doesn't have to do it in real life. Even wording it that way in the interview to me implied he was really in a dark place. Live long enough to see your friends betray you. That part kind of is a telltale for me. Years have I been strapped onto this altar. Could that be implying, that these struggles and this tension in the band had been going on for years? Some of these issues that they had with Tarja? Again, I'm just sharing some of the things I've read. I know opinions will vary. No, now I only have 3 minutes and counting. I just wish the tide would catch me first. Fitting. I mean, it's so crazy how the lyrics are so rich and long, but they all work together. The tide and the blue sea and the water and then the backdrop. Back to the knife here and the blade there. Back to children and dream and infanticide and blade. I mean, it's constantly working together, getting back to certain points. And then this part where Marco starts singing that rock, powerful, just the growl, that rasp. Second robber to the right of Christ. And I'm glad I read some resources on this because it's showing me that people are saying it's interesting that he's using that because the second robber to the right of Christ, there were two criminals on the cross beside Christ. One, was not very repentant and didn't want to be corrected. The other was asking for mercy, was basically telling Jesus, was telling Christ, remember me. And Jesus responded saying, today you will be with me in paradise. So referring to himself as that second robber, cut in half, infanticide. I'm sorry, this is wrong. I think it says infanticide, but here the lyrics read infanticide. Infanticide, this idea of this innocence being stolen, perhaps being killed. The world will rejoice today as the crows feed on the rotting poet, right? He's that poet, he's that writer, and he's rotting because he's dead now. And, he will be in paradise with Christ. Everyone must bury their own, no pack to bury the heart of stone. Now his home in hell serves him well. Interesting there, right? Because it could imply this idea, which again, emotions are complicated. It could imply this idea of, on one hand, suffering, hurting, take me home, I want to die. But then also talking about hell serves him well, maybe in a way also wanting to punish himself, maybe in a way longing for death, but not just making it out to be, oh, I'm the victim, poor me, I want to die, but also serves him well, as in maybe blaming himself for certain things. Because that's where emotions come in, right? When somebody is sad or hurt about something, that doesn't mean they're just sitting there going, oh, poor me. They could be a whole host of thoughts and emotions, from, this person did me wrong, to, I messed up, I screwed up, I deserve this, right? You never know. The dark passion play, I feel like being that suicide, performed by his friends without shame. Interesting. So in a way, it's referring to this idea of suicide and wanting to end it, but in a way also speaking of the friends doing this without shame, spitting on his grave as they came. Perhaps, again, this tied to that betrayal, to people not caring in the end. So expressing maybe this fear in him that if he did die in real, others would go, right? Maybe the fans, the people out there going, what did you do to Tarja? Or how did you guys split up? And blaming him perhaps, or Nightwish. Again, people will divide. So quickly we're divided and we go, oh my goodness, right? And oh my goodness. And we take sides and people will throw stones without knowing all the facts or not understanding that it's complicated. And when you're on a big stage like that, you can't keep it very private, right? You can't go through your breakups, divorces, your struggles. People will make an opinion. People will think they know. And it's hard to be on the front lines, right? Even when it comes to that letter that he wrote, that public letter, that open letter he wrote to Tarja, him claiming that it was put out so that, I think I read an article that said it was put out so that, they could beat her to releasing any information, or any other outlet releasing information. They wanted to beat, anybody that would want to talk on this topic. They're not the same people they were back then, and they're probably much better already. And if we're not careful, some of us hold on to those things from the past, and we base our identity off of these things because we look up to some of these characters. People will look up to their favorite bands and leaders, and they fail or a scandal comes out, and it's like, you even have this in faith communities. Some preacher or whatever, and a big scandal comes out, and it's like, everybody but him, right? And we're so shocked because we forget that these people on stage, they are humans too. That doesn't excuse the things they do, because they do have a responsibility. That's why it is still devastating when we see leaders and those on stage, bands breaking apart, people getting in trouble with scandals. It's still devastating because I think somehow in our human nature we long for someone to lead by examples, and the more flawless they are, the more we idolize them. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. I was trying to hit those bullet points, and here I am going, whoo, Hakuna Matata. Maybe his way of saying, I die, they're going to spit on my grave because people are going, what did you do? It's a weird way to spit. But you see what I'm saying? Maybe that's a way of reflecting on that. And then towards the end, and this is so interesting, just to tie up with this, it says, today in the year of our Lord, 2005, right? Today in the year of our Lord, again, this reference to Christ, but here listing the year 2005, which is the year him and Nightwish and Talia parted ways, I believe. Thomas was called from the cares of the world. He stopped crying at the end of each beautiful day. So here, the death has occurred. This is now almost like this eulogy vibe. The music he wrote had too long been without silence. Interesting. Almost like he's been writing all this music. There was no silence while he wrote it, while the songs were sung. Too long it's been without silence. He was found naked and dead with a smile on his face. So still kind of hopeful here, ending with a smile, a pen and 1,000 pages of erased text. Also very interesting. 1,000 pages, a reference to the poet, to all the things he's written, but erased text, almost like everything was undone, everything was deleted. Which kind of, I think sometimes is what people fear when it comes to death, and they deal with their existential fears, this fear of being forgotten, of all being for naught, of it all being meaningless and erased. Save me, this plea, but death. And then it switches to the final part, which was so beautiful and hopeful to me. And I hope you can gather that. If you've stuck around this long in the video, shout out to you. You're a true ride or die, part of the Writers Nations here. But I hope this last part is really an encouragement if you've ever or are in a dark place or struggling with suicidal thoughts or depression and anxiety. Because even though it sounds like it ends with death, that final blade, in the end, the singing that says, "Be still, my son, you're home." And when she first sang that, and is this parent, right, the last chapter, mother and father, this mother singing over her child, our thought is this, are these the parents in the afterlife welcoming him, saying, "You're home"? But as she keeps singing, saying, "When did you become so cold? The blade will keep on descending. All you need is to feel my love." To me, then I realized this may not be the afterlife, but this may be that the heartbeat that stopped, but maybe it's not too late. Maybe the death hasn't occurred. Again, he's killing himself in the song, not in real life. So it's ending with this hopeful note of a mother, a parent saying, "When did you become so cold? What happened?" Right? The blade will keep on descending. I read a cool comment that said, this kind of goes along with the idea of there always will be hard times. It will keep on descending. All you need is to feel my love. You need that love. And I think that's so true when it comes to depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts. There's hope when you know that you are loved, which you are. You are loved and you are not alone. To then say, "Search for beauty, find your shore," fitting to earlier when it spoke of those adventures in that shore, when he was reminiscing about the good times and being at the shore. Now basically saying, find your shore, find, the new shore. Maybe that relationship failed, maybe someone died, maybe you lost gravely, and you remember those days of being on the shore and being in an adventure and everything was good and you don't want to live anymore. Find your shore, find a new shore. Try to save them all, bleed no more. The bleeding needs to stop. That blade that was cutting, that needs to stop. Try to save them all. Maybe a reference to the other band members, to Omas's way of processing, hey, save the others. Still entertain and bring joy to your fans and to the other Nightwish members. What do you think? You have such oceans within, so fitting to that whole theme of the turquoise and the water and the backdrop in the stage. Going from wanting to be buried under the blue and under the rain to now being reminded by this loving voice. You have oceans within. There's so much you still have to give. There's so much you still have to offer. Not only that life has to offer you. If the only message that we receive when we're depressed and when we're near death is, oh, it's going to get better, that's not always very comforting. When you're depressed, you feel like it will never get better. And to be told, oh, it'll get better, as in externally, is hard. When you've lost a child or a spouse or you are depressed, there is nothing happy outside. There is no comfort in thinking, oh, it will get better out there. Something good will come your way. Sometimes it feels like there is no light at the end of the tunnel. The only thing that you see is that train coming towards you. But instead being reminded, hey, all you need is to feel my love. There's oceans within. We all have been given what we need. We've been given this life. The breath of life was breathed into us. And not only do I believe there are still good things out there, of course, there's also something powerful to be reminded, hey, there's something in here. Let it out. There's oceans within. Tap into that. There's so much life still to be lived. There's so much love that is available for you, for sure, but also that you can give. And that does, even therapeutically speaking, help people get out of a funk sometimes. Or when it comes to beyond funk, deep depression and anxiety, it's very therapeutic to go volunteer somewhere, help somebody else, get a little bit out of our own head and see other people's needs. You have such oceans within. In the end, I will always love you. So that second verse also, again, all you need is to feel my love. In the end, I will always love you. Isn't that such a comforting message to be told you are loved? When I tell you guys that you are loved and you matter, because it's true and you need to hear that. And sure, I can't force it into your brain. You're going to have to do the hard work to receive that, to love yourself, to love other people, to let God love on you. But it's the truth. And then the best part, I mean, the whole song is awesome, but then in the end it says, the beginning. So where in the beginning it started with the end, everything was done and doom, it ended with the beginning, almost like new chance, new life, new hope. And that kind of went for the story of Nightwish, I feel, where then other singers came along and their journey continued. It wasn't over. That goes for the fans that, you know, really continued supporting Nightwish, their songs continually bringing joy to people and being loved around the world. I mean, if you see their tours, even in Latin America, they're huge, right? They're growing. It wasn't over. But even for Tuomas specifically, to see that message of there's something new happening. So there's various ways we can interpret that beginning. A personal message to you. It's not over. We're going to end with the beginning, something new coming. Just powerful project. I mean, what a blessing that I got to see this, and that it all worked out, losing these files and having to struggle through this, that I got to deal with the loss of what Tuomas was working through in this song, and to this day it's bringing joy to people. I don't have to ever lose my wallet again. Check out those extra wallets. I'm telling you, use promo code Rosalie. Links in the content, links in the description and in the comments below for 40% for up to 40% off extra wallets. This New Year's sale. Don't miss it. Check the links out. I'm just so excited, guys. I mean, this is powerful. I'm loving this journey. I'm going to be reacting to various other Nightwish songs. I want to check out Dead Boy's Poem. I Want My Tears Back. Many more. I can't always share them on this channel because I want to make sure I'm a world music channel, exploring music from all around the world. So sometimes you'll find extra footage on patreon.com or on buymeacoffee.com. So make sure to grab yourself a membership and get access to those extra videos. But I had so much fun. What did you think? I hope I didn't miss anything. If I did, let me know. I hope I captured this and did this song justice. I am honored you were part of this ride with me today. As always, like, share, subscribe. All the links below. I'll see you next time. Ayo!